to the Rock Talk Studio, the place to find your next great rock and roll book or documentary. This is the podcast that reviews, previews, and most importantly, recommends to you the good stuff. Like today's book, a book that I can almost guarantee by the end of this podcast, every Tom Petty fan is going to be running out and buying this book. I'm your host, Big Rick. Join me for an exclusive look into what's hitting the shelves and the screens, and get ready to rock your reading and viewing list. And today, the spotlight falls on the book Heartbreaker. It is the memoir of Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers that he wrote with Ari Surdoval. And like I stated in the intro, and I'm going to double down on it, this book is going to blow the minds of every Tom Petty and Heartbreakers fans. It blew my mind. It is so personal and provides a view never seen, stories never told, and a look at Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as a band in ways that have never been looked at or talked about before. This memoir is fascinating. It really is. It's a raw and a deep personal exploration of Mike Campbell's life within Tom Petty's world, and it provides a fresh perspective on the Heartbreakers and the complex dynamics of his relationship with Tom and the rest of the members of the band. For fans of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, this book offers a very rare glimpse into the band's internal workings, and it reveals a ton of behind-the-scenes realities that I have never heard about, and I have read a ton of Tom Petty stuff for many years. An early moment in the book is particularly poignant. A 20-year-old Mike Campbell earned $100 for playing a wet t-shirt night gig with the early lineup of Mudcrutch, and it was the first time he's ever seen that much money. This small but significant moment kind of sets the tone for the memoir that is not afraid to explore the emotional and financial challenges Mike faced growing up. He was very poor and he was raised very poor, and you really feel the rags to riches gratitude throughout the story as Mike tastes fame and money for the first time. And within that, and what really stands out in this narrative, is Mike's vulnerability. His acknowledgement of self-esteem issues and his admission that he often blamed himself when things went wrong, it just humanizes him in a way I didn't expect. This is a very humble guy opening up while trying to be the best version of himself. His struggle with the band's dynamic is laid bare. He was never treated as an equal. He was always Tom's right-hand man, and frequently had to navigate the complexities of the band and the financial disparities within it. Mike shares how, despite Tom's early fame, there were times when the Heartbreakers were at the mercy of management, which then added tension to the band's relationship. There's an interesting moment when Mike tells the band, in this band, there's going to be the rich, the richer, and the richest. Tom's going to be the richest. It's blunt, but a candid moment that showcases Mike's role as the mediator for the band and really reveals the underlying challenges of working with such an iconic and extremely driven figure that Tom Petty was. The book also delves into the creative process behind Tom and Mike. Mike, who did most of the music and arrangements, would spend countless hours crafting tapes, waiting for Tom to return them with the lyrics he wrote. The balance between the two seems almost symbiotic, but also fraught with the tensions that come from such a unique and deeply personal collaboration. I mean, these guys knew each other from a very early age. It's a dynamic that many fans may not fully appreciate, and it offers a glimpse into how the magic of the Heartbreakers and the songs were made. There are some really great stories shared about the creation of the songs, and in telling this, you get to see how amazing and creative not only Tom was, and Mike never misses a chance to say how much a genius Tom was as a songwriter, and how much in awe he was of Tom as a lyricist, but you also get to see the contribution that Campbell made to these iconic songs. I don't think the two could have existed on this level without each other. There was a time early on in the book and early on in their career when Tom was under pressure from the label and they weren't doing very well with songwriting, and the label came to him and said, we just want to sign you. They didn't want the band. And Tom said, I need Mike. And this was a real statement on how important Mike Campbell was to Tom Petty. Over the course of their long time together, these two formed a brotherhood, and reading Mike's side of the story and being able to see it from his side really adds a tremendous amount of depth to Mike Campbell's enduring talent and resilience. You never know when a book is written with someone how much each person contributed. Ari Surdoval, who wrote this with Mike, I know is a really good writer. I picked up his book, Double Nickels, because I was so impressed by the way this book was written. So whoever, whatever, I don't know, but I do know this. They made a great team and put together a fantastic book. And by the way, Double Nickels is a really great book. I highly recommend that one to everybody also. I don't think Mike could have wrote this book while Tom was alive. I think he loved him too much, and I don't think he could have gone this far. With Heartbreaker, Mike is finally able to share his side of the story, offering a long overdue window into his life and the workings of a band that, while adored by millions, was often at odds with itself. Mike speaks for not just Tom, but for the entire band, Stan and Ben and Ron and Howie, and in doing so, he paints a fuller picture of the Heartbreakers' journey. Heartbreaker, Mike Campbell with Ari Surdoval, is 466 glorious pages, and it is truly a one-of-a-kind book, a front row center all the way. If you've been with me for a while, first of all, thank you. I can't tell you how cool it is that I get to talk about rock and roll books and documentaries. It's a true passion of mine, so thanks so much for being there, for tuning in when you can, and supporting me in the Rock Talk studio. So again, if you've listened to the show before, you know after the review of the book or doc, I like to look at one big question about the title, one thing that stands out that I feel would help you better understand the book or doc. And today, I have nothing. This book to me is so very complete and really just left me smiling when I finished it. It's such a good book. So instead, I'm going to hit you with some really cool Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker news. And that news is coming up next. Before I jump into that Petty news, I wanted to mention Mad Music Radio. You know that I like to do shout outs to other rock and roll podcasts or newsletters. Today, the shout out goes to an internet radio station called Mad Music Radio. Mad Music Radio is a small cluster of 5 internet-only non-commercial radio stations bringing you fantastic music 24 hours a day. They also publish stories at least twice a week on their Patreon, Substack, and the Medium platforms. Mad Music Radio, tunes and tales too good to be ignored. They've got a bunch of different stations. They've got rock, oldies, there's a cool Grateful Dead station, a blues station. I just turn it on and I let it play throughout the house. I really enjoy it. It kind of is like radio I remembered it to be because the formatting is really good. They just play things you haven't heard in a while, or maybe you've never heard at all. You can find them on the MyTuner radio app in the Apple Store or the Google Plus Store. I'll also put a link to their website in the show notes. If you like non-commercial radio that offers variety, Mad Music Radio is a great place to start. Okay, here's the scoop on the Tom Petty and the Heartbreaker news. And the news is about today, March 11th, the day this podcast came out. And the reason today is so special is that the documentary Tom Petty Beach Party is available to stream. The Beach Party movie first appeared on MTV in 1983. It was aired one time, and then it was pulled because it was deemed at that time too experimental. There are a lot of great tidbits about this movie. It was Cameron Crowe's first directorial debut, his first movie that he filmed. Crowe followed Petty and the boys as they toured to support the Long After Dark album, and that album was the last one they did with Jimmy Iovine as producer. And it was the first time I saw Tom Petty. Me and my brother saw the Long After Dark tour. Love that record. The Petty estate got together with Cameron Crowe, and they went through the archives and found a ton of new footage and restored it and ran it in theaters in October. The remastered version includes never-before-seen archival bonus footage and new commentary from Cameron Crowe. It's only out right now on Paramount Plus. I'm hoping that it will be available soon on Prime or some other place to purchase it. I will gladly pay $4.99, $5.99, whatever to watch this. And you know, if I do, I'll make sure to tell you about it. Gonna wrap up today's show with a little preview. Coming up next week is the second of two books I've been so excited about and just waiting to talk about it. The first one was today's book, Mike's book, Heartbreaker. And the second one is about artists, poets, drifters, grifters, and goddesses. Oh yeah, it's going to be a good one. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love talking rock and roll and be able to give you the scoop on a title I think is worth your time and money. And Mike Campbell's Heartbreaker with Ari Surdoval is beyond worth it. Get this book. Love being able to talk about one of my favorite bands and a book that I really, really enjoyed. All right, folks, tear it down, pack it up, and head on down the road. We'll see you next time in the Rock Talk studio.